All right, folks, I'll start by sharing my screen. Just a moment. Someone yell in case my screen doesn't show up. All right, thanks for being here. My name is Daniel Fosco. I'm the senior product designer on the release group. And today I'm going to share a little bit about our ongoing design process for environments, more specifically the environments page. Before we start, a quick definition on environments for those who are not so familiar with it. According to our docs, environments describe where code is deployed, right? If we simplify it a little bit with a graphic, environments are more or less the buckets that represent where your code is going when it goes in production. Not necessarily production, because you can also have environments for staging, for Q&A, review apps are also environments. So essentially, environments are the abstractions that represent the different versions of your app, your application, after the code is tested and is released. Under the hood, of course, the reality is much more complicated than that. But it's interesting to pay attention here to the relationship between an environment and a deployment. These are two very related concepts in the sense that the deployment is the action that takes the code into the environment. And that's also represented in our UI today. So this is the environments page for the GitLab Runner project. It has a lot going on. Over time, this page accumulated a lot of bugs, different UX issues. So we as a team in the release group decided to start tackling it. And one of the first issues that we recently worked on was to add the environment tier information on the page. The environment tier is a feature that we already have on our gitlab.yaml file, and it's essentially a type for your environments, for your environment. So you can have an environment that has any name, but has a type production. So your system knows it is a production environment. And since the page has a table, well, the first obvious solution was just to add a column with the environment tier. But we immediately ran into this problem, right? We have so much information already on this page that just by adding one extra field, it breaks the way it's set up. We could try to squeeze the columns on the table a little bit more, but we can see it's already clipping here. So we went for the second best choice, that was adding it as a badge underneath the title, which for the purpose of visibility for the user, it works. We can say environment tier here on the top, then you have the environment and the tier. But since in the future we wanted to iterate and add filtering, sorting, this solution wouldn't really work. But that's what we decided. And then other stuff that was problematic on the page, right? Once you open the page for the first time, this is what you would see, right? So it was broken by default. So we fixed that, and it looks much better. But it was another symptom of all the many little things that were broken on the page. Next up, this issue about the stop button, which didn't really give the users a lot of context. It was just a red square that was kind of scary. It didn't tell you what it was. So again, our proposal was just, let's add some copy to it, right? Makes it really clear, makes it more updated with the design system in terms of the design of the button. But again, just by adding this little piece of copy in certain breakpoints and page widths, it would also break the page, right? And the button would be broken. So we could sure add some CSS to make sure this didn't happen in certain breakpoints, but this would just add more and more exceptions to a page whose code was already problematic. So after these issues and many others, we collectively decided, okay, let's take a step back and rethink this whole page. And when I say page, it's mostly the table, because it's the core of what the page is, because we can see in many examples that it's just not holding the weight of the content that's in it anymore. And with that in mind, I started to break down the pieces of information on the page, almost like a kid that's like getting a huge Lego set and just breaking it down in smaller pieces, and started drafting some proposals on which direction to go. But it was at this point that Hayana threw me a curveball saying, okay, we as a team, we know the page should go elsewhere. We know we need to move away from this current solution because it's also making it harder for us to iterate. But do you know where you want to go? Like, do you know which problems are you solving beyond the obvious visibility and readability issues with the page? And I didn't really have a good answer for that. And truth is, even though we have a really vast array of research done on this topic in the past, we have kind of small visibility on how the users are actually interacting with the page itself. So with that in mind, we created a survey that is linked directly within the page. So if you go to the environments page today on any project, you will see this running. So any user can take the survey. That is ongoing. And we already have really good information here with users telling us directly why they are visiting the page, what information they're looking for when they first land on the page, which elements are more important to them. This survey is still ongoing, so our plan is to, sorry, just a minute, there's a chat here. Let me see if there's something broken. No, fine. So yeah, our idea is to close this in maybe 1 or 2 weeks time, wrap it up, understand what are the main clusters of feedback, and then use that to direct the page to where it needs to go. And what I'd like to leave you all with today, not this. Oh no, my last slide is gone. But yeah, essentially is in the past, when you have worked with large design or redesign efforts that were blocking the way you iterated, right? It was challenges that were hard to iterate away from. What was your methodology and what was your process? If we still have some time, if anyone wants to comment on this, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we can do in the doc, I think, later. So this is what I have for now. Thanks for watching.